Welcome to the Common Man Football Show. My name is James Coburn, and today's episode, we're talking about the 2018 NFL Draft Class, specifically Tre'Quan Smith, wide receiver out of Central Florida, in terms of his production analytics. And if you're new to the channel or you're new to the work that I do, all terms and definitions are going to be in the description. I'll do the best I can to kind of explain things as I go along, but if you are still kind of lost, you can kind of go there to get just a general, this is the term and this is the definition when it comes to data and that other sort of stuff. And again, what we're going to be talking about today is production analytics, so stuff like athleticism data and that other sort of stuff, which is coming up really, really soon, because once the combine gets here, we'll have a lot more information to play with. But until then, we're just basically looking at production, what the production says about a player based on overall data available. And the only term you really need to know for this video is passing yardage, market share, production. And all that is you take the receiving yards of a wide receiver, their best season in terms of receiving yards, and you divide it by the team total receiving or passing yards, essentially. So essentially, if a wide receiver has 1,000 yards and a 4,000 yard passing offense, then that wide receiver had 25% passing yardage market share production. But what you do is you take that number, you take that performance, and you compare it to every single wide receiver performance since the 1969 NFL Draft Class, and then boom, you have a way of seeing where the All-Pro players typically performed in terms of their market share data, where the Pro Bowl players typically performed, where the starters performed, and so on and so forth. So it's essentially a data trait. It's, when people talk about traits, that's what this is essentially, is you're looking to see, okay, what did all the All-Pro players typically have in common on paper, and then you're looking to see if that wide receiver has anything in common with those types of players. It doesn't really guarantee that they're going to be an All-Pro player or a Pro Bowl player or a starter, but it definitely increases the chances of that happening. And then, of course, when you add that with other sort of things of the process, like athleticism data, like age data, character stuff, and, of course, good old-fashioned film stuff, you just have a better way of making a better decision. So it's just giving you more information to make a more informed decision. That's all data really is. And with all that information out of the way, let's get to Tre'Quan Smith's passing yards market share production score of 75.08 out of 100. Based on my data since the 1969 NFL Draft Class, again, 75.08 out of 100. Doesn't quite hit the 5-time All-Pro area or the 3-time All-Pro area, because the majority of 5-time All-Pro wide receivers typically had 85 or higher in terms of their score. Most of the 3-time All-Pro players typically had 80 or higher. Tre'Quan Smith didn't really hit that area, but he definitely is in the 3-time Pro Bowl area. The majority of 3-time Pro Bowlers typically had 68 or higher, and he also is in sort of the long-term starter area as well, where most long-term starters had 58 or higher. So that is where he's kind of at. He is not really in the All-Pro area, but definitely has some potential to be a Pro Bowler or to be a long-term starter. But then when you look at the averages at the position, the average All-Pro score of wide receiver since 1969 is 92.14. The average Pro Bowl score is 88.38, and the average starter score is 81.45. Again, based on this, Tre'Quan Smith looks a little bit closer to a starter than a All-Pro / Pro Bowl player. So that's the only sort of thing with Tre'Quan Smith based on his overall data, is that, again, he doesn't quite look like an All-Pro player, doesn't quite look like a Pro Bowl player. He does hit at least, he's above the bottom end threshold for Pro Bowl players, but as you can clearly see, most Pro Bowl players typically score higher than that, significantly higher. So Tre'Quan Smith looks more like a long-term starter. You add in the fact of strength of schedule, where he played at Central Florida. He didn't necessarily play at like the Big Ten, or he didn't really face a really, really brutal passing schedule, if you will. So that definitely kind of hurts him a little bit as well in terms of just general strength of schedule, but still a pretty decent profile, still a guy that looks like a potential long-term starter. Based on film, I think he's a solid all-around wide receiver. I think he's a pretty decent route runner, has pretty decent hands, can make some pretty good contested catches as well. And I think he's just a solid all-around wide receiver. A guy that you could see going in day 3 I don't really see day 2 with him, but you never know. I mean, it depends on how well he tests athletically at the combine, and of course how much stuff hype he gets going into the process. But for the most part, I see him more as a day 3 selection for the most part when it comes to him. But I do like him on film. I think he's a solid all-around wide receiver. And of course, my name is James Coburn. You can find my other work at draftcoburn.wordpress.com. You can also follow me on Twitter at Geometrics. And if you like this content and you want more content like this, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Share this video as well with anybody that you know. Hit that notification button so that you're always reminded when another video of mine drops. And I'll talk to you guys in the next video. And also, be sure to check out the 2018 NFL Free Agency Guide covering offensive players. The link to that is in the description, which is the link to the Amazon account. It costs $9.99. It has hundreds of profiles on quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, and offensive linemen that are set to hit free agency this year. And I highly, highly recommend it. It has just tons of information about all those positions. It'll make you a more educated fan. It'll make you a more educated draftnik. It'll make you more educated about free agency. I highly recommend you get that. And all the funds support the channel. So if you've been looking to see what else you can do to support the channel and support the stuff that I do, that's one way to do it, on top of liking and subscribing and sharing and all the other kind of stuff. So if you want to have another way to support this channel, there you go. You get something and you get some value too. So it's not just you supporting the channel, you're supporting the channel, but you're also getting a lot of information that you can't really get from anybody else. So again, be sure to check that out, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Peace.